Allocating amounts across different time periods is a challenge that we face, especially in contracts and prepaid rentals. If you look at this table, I have some contracts, rent contracts, have the start, the end period, number of days in the contract, and the amount. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to allocate this into number of months based on exact number of days. People use many methods to solve this. There are complicated formulas. But the issue here is, how dynamic it is. Whenever you go and make changes to maintain it, to add new contracts, you need to expand your range. So what I have done, I have used Power Query to solve this problem. Let me take you through how it has been done. So this is the contract, starts in January and ends in October in 2020. I have transformed this table into a table of data which is most suitable for analysis. Now, I have the rent contracts, the period in months, and the amount, allocated amounts by month. If you go and filter by contract 1, this is the start and this is the end period, the amount has been allocated by month. This table has been used to create this pivot table. If you look at this pivot table, the amount has been split into years now. This is the first contract we were looking at. So if you expand 2020, you can look at the contract and the allocation by month. This way we'll be able to see each month in each year what is the total amount that will be charged against the total contracts. So adding new contracts will only have to need refreshing of the data. Now we'll see how we are going to build it from the scratch. You will find a link in the description below if you need to download this file. The table I have here with rent contracts is named as contracts, right? So I need to get this table into Power Query. How do you do that? Either you can go to the data tab, data from table range, that is one way. I'll show you a quick way of getting it. You can right click on the table, click on get data. So let's look at the columns and the data types here. So this is text and these two date time, so we need to convert it to date. Right click, change type and date. Days, whole number, amount, fine. Right. So first what we need to do, we need to take the contract and split it into number of months, and it should be in rows, right? So what we are going to do first, we need to create a function to do this. So for our functions we need two parameters. We are going to pass the start date and the end date. Let's look at how we can create parameters. So on the home tab you will find parameters, click on it, click on new. Let's name it with the prefix of p start for the starting date, and the type is date. We'll give a date like January, the same date we found in contract first we can give it, which is 10th of January 2020, right? Click OK. So the second date is 26th of October. What we can do, we can make a copy of this. I right click and duplicate. So we'll rename it to end. Give it the date of 26 October 2020, right? These dates that I have given here, it will be replaced by the exact contract start and end date when we call the function inside this table. Fine, right? So to start the function, first we need to create a query, and we can convert that query into a function. So to create a blank query, you can right click over here, new query, other sources, and blank query. So the query I have created, I'm going to rename it as something meaningful. Let's say period. Fine. So what this query is going to do is create a table that will have two fields: the list of dates by month and the number of days in each month. I'm going to use a very powerful function in Power Query called list.generate. Let me take you through. So equal generate list.generate. This function has three arguments: initial value, the condition, and next value functions. So all three parameters are in functions. So let me start with the initial value. Start a function with this symbol. So we have two fields. Let's have if date first and day. Call it if day. So the first field will have the starting date, which is the start, the parameter, right? And we need to get the number of days. We need to get the number of days that are, for example, in this case, from 10th of January to 31st of January, which is 21 days. How do we calculate it? We use some functions. Days in month of f date. F date is already assigned to start date is already assigned to f date, so we can get it directly from there. That's the current value. We take the days in month, which is 31, minus date dot date, f date, so which is 10. So we need to add 1 just to include the 10th as well. So we have the initial value here. Second parameter is the condition. We need to check on each line. We need to ensure every time an element is inserted, it is within the condition. As long as this condition is true, it will go and insert it. We need to ensure the f date is less than or equal to the end date, which is the parameter of, in our case, it is 26th of October. Let me now take you to the next level, which is, this is where we add the next line, next row in the list. So how do we calculate it? For each line, this is a record, so we have f date. We need to calculate the f date and f day value. First value is from the previous value, which is f date. We need to add 1 month to it and get the end of the month, so that we can get the end of the month days for each month. So in this case, we are going to take end of month for f date. I'm going to wrap it with end of the month. So I haven't added a date 1 month to it. Then use add month to the previous value. So I include get the previous date, month date, and add 1 to it. Close it. The day will be taken directly from the same line from f date. So date dot day and f date. So we have built to some extent the list. Let me check the first element, which is 10th of January, 22 days, and 29 February, 29 days, and March, 31 days, and so on. So the last one I have here is September, but we haven't got 26th of October and 26 days as last. That row, 10th row, is not added. Let's go back and check. So the reason why we don't see the last one here is we don't exceed the parameter end date. So we also push it to the end of the month, so we don't get the last month. So now we have more codes. It's better to switch to the advanced editor. go to view menu and click on advanced editor. Next step creation, we are adding 1 month and bring it to the end of the month, right? Okay. Let's create a variable first. So let end of the month equal, we'll grab this value here, in, so we can replace this with the variable now. Yes, so let me check once just to make sure things are flowing nicely. Yes, we have it. So let me go back to the advanced editor, and here, so we need to have an if condition just to check if it exceeds. So if end of the month is greater than the end date, then what we are going to do, we are going to get the previous month and add days from the current date. So how we do that? So we are going to insert the record again, f.date equal, also we need f day. So this should be calculated based on end of the month from the previous date, previous month date, end of the month, and we are going to add days to that. Add days, add days from the end date, because it's going to exceed the end date, so we are going to get the number of days in that particular month. So date dot day p end date, close bracket, and for the day we're going to get day dot date dot day p date, sorry, f date. So else this record will be inserted using the end of the month. Let's check now, looks perfect. Yes, we have September, then we have 26th of October, perfect. Just to make sure the function is, the query is working correctly, let me just try a different date here. Let's say 15th of May 2020. So we have January 10 days, February, March, April, and 15. Perfect. So now we need to convert these records, this list, into a table. So I'm going to expand it. So we have the dates and the date. Let me change the date type to date. This has to be whole number. Perfect. Now from this query we are going to create a function. So right click on it, create function. Let's name it prefix with fn, and let's say period. So already two parameters that are included in the query have been picked up as parameter for this function. That's great. Let's click OK. Yes, this is our function. So now we are going to go into contract table. We're going to call that function that we created over here. Add column, invoke custom function. Let's name it period or months function. I'm going to assign the column start to be start parameter and the column end to the end parameter. So we have our first rent contract here, which starts January and ending in October. So we have the dates January up to October. We are going to expand this table into rows. Go to the months field, click on this button over here. We'll remove this, and we have the date and the day. Expand it. Perfect. So let's change the date into date format. The type is date and this is the whole number. Fine. Now we are going to calculate the monthly amount. So for that we need to go to column, custom column. Let's name the field as monthly amount. I'm going to get the amount divided by total number of days and multiply by F day, which is the number of days in each month. Okay. So we have got the monthly amount here. So let's clear other columns that we don't need. So we need the monthly amount, the date, and the contract name. So let's remove the other columns. Right click, remove other columns. Fine. And we need to change the format here. This has to be text. No, this has to be decimal number. This is date. Perfect. And this is text. So we'll rearrange it, bring the column over here. The amount should go at the end. Yes, we have the contracts, the dates, and the amount. Yeah, we are going to load it to a worksheet now. Close and load. So this has been loaded as a connection, so you need to right click on it. Load to. We'll load it to table in a new sheet. Okay, fine. So the table that we had initially over here has been transformed into a table which can be used to analyze this data, right? So if you go and filter the first contract and start in 10th January and ends in 26th of October, right? The total amount 110,000. Let's check. Yes, 110,000. Perfect. So now to have it analyzed in a monthly format, so we'll insert a pivot table here. Insert pivot table. So let's drop if date in columns, contracts in rows, and the monthly amount in the value. We don't need the quarter. Perfect. Let's do some number formatting here. Number. Yes, this is done. So the total contract value of all the contracts is 700,000. 700,000. Yes. Now we'll be able to see on a monthly allocated amount. So let's add a new contract and check if it works. So I'm going to insert a new contract, which is contract 7, and starts, let's say, 25th of May 2020 and 24th of May 2021. Let's say 185,000. I'm going to go and refresh the table, and refresh the pivot table. So we have the contract. Starts in May and ends in May the following year. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave a comment below. To get notified on advanced Excel, Power Query and Power BI videos, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again for watching and have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.